Good morning. Welcome to our worship service at the First Unitarian Church of Worcester, Massachusetts. I'm Ken Mandile. I'm assisting in the worship this morning with our Director of Faith Development, Samantha Nemeth, our Assistant Director of Faith Development, Abigail Hannaford Ricarda Salvi. The Reverend Sarah Stewart, our minister, is off today. Today we welcome two members of the church, Gini Johnson and Vicky Hardy, who will share their reflections on gratitude in their spiritual lives. We are delighted to welcome them to the pulpit this morning. Here at First Unitarian Church, we strive in loving fellowship to honor the sacred, connect with each other, and serve justice. We are a welcoming congregation. Whatever your age, race, class, nationality, sexual orientation, or gender identity, we are delighted to have you with us this morning. If you're online, you can like this video to help others find us, and please subscribe to our channel to find more of our content. Our newsletter is the best way to stay in touch and join other programs. If you would like to receive our e-newsletter, please go to firstunitarian.com and click subscribe to our newsletter at the bottom of any page. If you're here in the sanctuary, you can visit the welcome table and sign up to receive the newsletter. Following the worship today, we'll have a fellowship in our church parlor. All are welcome. I have one announcement. Today is the grand opening of the UU Sisterhood art exhibit in the chapel. Everyone is welcome to visit the exhibit after church today. The exhibit will be available for viewing through the holiday season. This is the day the Lord has made. Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos to order, confusion to clarity. It can turn a meal into a feast, a house into a home, a stranger into a friend. Gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. It's now time for our chalice lighting.
Carter is going to light our chalice this morning.
In the spirit of love.
Light this chalice. Please rise in body or spirit to renew our covenant as printed in the order of service and on your screen. In the love of truth and in the spirit of Jesus, we unite for the worship of God and the service of all. Please remain standing for our opening hymn, number 67, in the gray hymnal and on your screen.
Good morning. Today we are continuing to rehearse for our Christmas pageant, and if you were not here last week and you're here now, there are still many spots and many places for you to thrive and show your theatrical talents. So we'd love to see you, and our Christmas pageant will be on December 10th. Also, following Christmas pageant on December 10th is our Hanukkah party. So if you have great skill in making latkes or jelly donuts, please feel free to help participate and bring fun food for the great party that we're going to have. Today's story is Our Table by Peter Reynolds. Violet fondly remembered the table. She remembered gathering food, preparing the table, cooking meals. So many stories, laughter, singing, celebrating, sharing, making memories together. Recently, though, Violet found herself alone at the table. Her family had become busy, very busy. They had found new places to be. Violet found her father in his favorite chair in front of a big screen, bigger than Violet. She found her mother on the staircase, chatting silently on her phone. Violet found her brother in his room, playing games with friends that she could not see. Feeling quite alone, Violet dreamed of a time when the family and friends would gather together at a table. Walking by the room where their quiet table stood, Violet did a double take. She noticed that the table had changed. Their table was smaller. The next day, it had become even smaller. By the end of the week, the table had shrunk so much that it fit easily into the palm of her hand. Violet blinked. The table vanished. Violet knew exactly what she had to do. She asked her father to watch a show about carpentry together, and they did. Violet asked her mother to write a message and post it to see who knew how to build the table. And they did. She asked her brother to use his computer to help draw out a plan together. And they did. Violet was ready. She had asked her family then to build a table together. When they were done, Violet paused to marvel at their creation. A place to come together, to share stories once again, a table to make memories, a table stronger, more beautiful than ever. And it was. And I'd like to invite all of my children, friends, youth, volunteers to come down to the Landers area to continue practicing with Chris Johnson for our Christmas pageant. Thank you.
Everywhere, you I'd like to invite you in your program today to share in our common prayer in unison the words by G.K. Chesterton. The world will never starve for want of wonders, but for want of wonder. We should always endeavor to wonder at the permanent thing, not at the mere expectation. We should be startled by the sun and not by the eclipse. We should wonder less at the earthquake and wonder more at the earth. What was wonderful about childhood is that anything in it was a wonder. It was not merely a world full of miracles. It was a miraculous world. In our sacred time together, we share the joys and sorrows of our church with one another. A candle today was lit because a person is happy to be in a place and with people who mean so much to them. Please take a moment in your own thoughts and prayers. There are the joys and sorrows that have gone unspoken, but together we hold them in our hearts.
In lieu of the Lord's Prayer today, we are going to be saying a prayer by St. Francis of Assisi, who was a 13th century monk in Italy. Please join me in prayer, which is in your order of service and will be on the screen. God, make me instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine source, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Just a minute till we find the right page. Our ministries at First Unitarian Church continue to thrive because of your support. Your offering makes a difference here in our community. This past week, we hosted a potluck Thanksgiving dinner for church members and friends. The UU Sisterhood is having an art exhibit to share with the congregation and the community, and we continue to host the Haitian cooking ministry on Monday evenings here in our kitchen. All these programs are made available by the generous gifts of the church. The ushers will now receive the morning offering. If you are worshiping online, you can text the number on your screen or go to firstunitarian.com and click Give Online at the top of any page. I invite your generous contributions for the good of the church.
Good morning. I'm Gini Johnson, and for those of you who haven't been here a long time, you may not know that one of the traumatic days in my life was 9/11. My company's headquarters were in the tower, and so I lost many dear friends and people I worked with. After that, I found it rather difficult to find a way to pray or to give thanks. Consequently, I was really moved by a book by Anne Lamott, now one of my favorite authors, who's a moralist and has a different slant on religion. And what she found, what she wrote, was a book called Please, Thanks, and Wow, the 3 essential prayers. They worked for me. I found I was able to pray again. And those prayers have remained popular with me and with many people over the years. This was back in 2012, just a year after the 9/11, but they are still popular today. So these 3 essential prayers really helped me move from being troubled to feeling whole, and that's what really helped with Anne Lamott. She came from alcoholism and drug abuse, and she finally hit rock bottom. Reaching bottom really meant for her no more good ideas, plans for everyone. That's what many people have. They're going to change other people's behavior. They're going to solve and fix resources. And out of their own chaos, what happens? When you're done, you may say, help, not believing that there is anyone who can do that. But it is a great prayer, the hardest prayer any of you will ever use or say. You have to surrender, which is the hardest thing anyone will ever do, ever. Surrender. And so she did that, and she found in surrendering that she actually had healing. It's like when you surrender, you actually at the same time make another connection to a power greater than yourself. It's something in the next concentric that is beyond me, so that is where the help begins. If there is a God, and Anne Lamott really believes in a God, she says this is where it comes from. This is the purpose of God, to help us. And if your family is catching a break or you catch a break, whatever happens, it's pretty wonderful. Pretty hard to say anything other than thank you, thank you, thank you. So this is what Anne talked about in her interviews with NPR of how this worked in her life and what it brought for her. So what Anne Lamont's prayers, her book, brought me to was gratitude. Before my eyes open in the morning, I move around in my comfy bed and check it out. Is Jean sleeping peacefully beside me? Do all my limbs seem to be working? Now the first gratitude test has been passed with minimal consciousness and definite thankfulness. Please, we are both alive and able to move. Does it feel too cold to get serious about arising? Okay, time to put on the bathrobe and slippers and get to the bathroom for the morning routines. First, I check the thermostat, bump it up a little, and be grateful that oil was delivered. I'm not huddled around a weak fire trying to get some warmth, like much of the world. It is easy to sit on my throne, elevated for my diminished capacity. Now I run my washcloth under the almost instant hot water and cleanse my face. It feels so good to wipe away the night dirt and the muck in my eyes. Gratitude. Rinsing out my teeth that have soaked clean overnight brings me to the realization that I could just stand here, not trying to speak clearly to all of you, but hampered for the entire day by few remaining teeth. Well, Gene, bless his heart and his humor, he said, I ought to just pop them out this morning and give you a good laugh. Straining to hear your words of wisdom without these pesky hearing aids. Another gift of abundance. I know it's cold this morning. I don't need to check the temperature. The roadies were just hugging themselves so tightly, it seems they will never open their leaves and bloom again. But I know they will. The process of being grateful just goes on and on. It is rather like breathing. It doesn't stop. It seems to me that that's what prayer is, unceasing and constant, the gift of life as I experience it every day. So now whatever happens, I just say, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. But for brevity, I just say, thanks. Having made two of the essential prayers that Anne talks about, please, thanks, and wow. How do I get to wow? Well, usually it's from something in nature. I see a bird take off and fly. I see a bud unfold in its beauty. something simple that just really touches me. These are wows from creation. However, recently, I experienced a different wow. I experienced my husband's 90th birthday party. My gratitude for the wow that occurred that evening was huge. Whereas it just kept coming. It was all the love, all the words of prayer, all the good food people brought to share, all the decorations. It went on, and that was wow. So I say to you this morning, may you have lots of wow in your world today, however it arrives, free and welcome. Gratitude. Please rise in body or spirit, and let's sing together hymn 331 in the gray hymnal and printed on your screen.
Good morning. I'm Vicky Hardy, and our second reading today is by Dr. Brené Brown, who is a research professor at the University of Houston. She spent the last 16 years studying courage, vulnerability, shame, and sympathy, and is the author of 5 New York Times bestsellers. This comes from a website on global leadership. The relationship between joy and gratitude was one of the important things I found in my research. I wasn't expecting it. In my 12 years of research on 11,000 pieces of data, I did not interview one person who had described themselves as joyful who also did not actively practice gratitude. For me, it was very counterintuitive because I went into the research thinking that the relationship between joy and gratitude was, if you're joyful, you should be grateful. but it wasn't that way at all. Instead, practicing gratitude invites joy into our lives. Practice is the part that really changed my life, that really changed my family, and the way we live every day. When I say practice gratitude, I don't mean the attitude of gratitude or feeling grateful. I mean practicing gratitude. These folks shared in common a tangible gratitude practice. Some of them kept gratitude journals. Some of them did more interesting things, like 1, 2, 3, 4, or at 12:34 every day, they said something out loud that they were grateful for in their lives. One of the things we do now as a family is to say grace at dinner. And so now, after learning about practicing gratitude after grace, we go around and everyone says something that they're all thankful for. What's interesting is that when we first started, I thought my children were going to say, "Oh, Mom, are you experimenting on us again?" There was a little bit of that. But after we had done this for a couple of weeks, even on those crazy busy nights when we were trying to get to soccer, piano, and homework, if Steve and I said a quick prayer and start eating, the kids were like, "Whoa, what are you grateful for?" It's been extraordinary because not only does it invite more joy into our house, it is also such a soulful window into what is going on in my kids' lives. There are some days when my 8th grader will say, "I'm joyful that there is a huge, thick wall between my room and my brother's room." She'll say something very honest, but recently she had a friend whose mother died. For a month she would say, "I'm just grateful that you all are healthy for now." My son often says, "I'm grateful for bugs. I'm grateful for frogs." But sometimes he'll say, "I'm grateful that you picked me up early." Or, "I'm grateful that I finally understand adjectives." There is a great quote by a Jesuit priest that says, "It's not joy that makes us grateful. It's gratitude that makes us joyful." I guess I was just amazed to see that bubble up in my research so quickly. It's been life-changing. So first of all, I want to thank Reverend Sarah and the worship committee for inviting us to share our thoughts about gratitude this morning. For as Cicero once said thousands of years ago, gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all others. This has been a year of highs and lows for me. From the birth of my granddaughter in May to the death of my mother in June and the death of my best friend's grandson in July, it has been a year of joy, gratitude, and sadness. It has produced much reflection on what it means to be grateful in this Thanksgiving season, tinged with both grief and happiness. Lots to think about. So today I want to share my thoughts from 3 perspectives: personal, family, and community. First, the personal. My new motto for this stage of my life is, "I'm in the 4th quarter and I'm going for overtime." I am grateful for my health, for the Family Health Center here in Worcester that provides the best senior care I have had in years, and my audiologist for all the care in the process of acquiring my new hearing aids. And my grandson also gives special thanks to her as well, since Grandma can now hear him. As the Dalai Lama has said, in order to be happy, we must first possess inner contentment. And inner contentment doesn't come from having all we want, but from wanting and appreciating being grateful for all we have. I am grateful for my family. When one sees scary diagnoses and ongoing challenges in your larger extended family, it is a blessing to have a healthy birth for my granddaughter and my daughter-in-law. It was also a blessing to have a quiet transition for my mom after almost 4 years in memory care and 6 months of steady decline. I am deeply grateful for my son's support and love through the long process and at the celebration of my parents' lives in October. And especially thankful for my sisters in Seattle who cared for my mom and my St. Louis sister whose support has been unending. In addition, in this time of hardship for so many, I am grateful for a roof over my head, food on the table, clothes on my back, and the cognitive abilities to still enjoy them. As Oprah Winfrey said, be thankful for what you have, and you'll end up with more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you'll never have enough. And finally, I am grateful for this community. Mary Wellmeyer, a retired UUA minister, defined it best for me in her poem, Gratitude for a Red Truck. It's not a small thing, the loan of this truck, which came unbidden because renting a car would simply cost too much. It would. I was unhappy to be doing it. But the clear certainty that a friend should lend a good, clean, old red truck to save that expense, for this, I am still more grateful. Then, when it snowed so early, to trouble to bring bags of sand that steady the rear and keep me safe. It was a thoughtful generosity glistening in the midst of all of the hurry of my life, reminding me to slow down and pay attention to those around me too. So for those around me, Liz and IHN, Diane in the garden, Madeline and the sisterhood, Linda and John Henry's Hammer, Kate and the Sunday morning team, the church staff, the welcome committee, for all these and more, I am grateful. But I'm also grateful for friends of many years who have been there for that 4 a.m. call when life takes a dive. For it is community that holds us in its hands as we journey along the road. Without community, our joys, our trials, challenges, and pain would triple in a lonely life. So now, please rise in body or spirit, and before we sing hymn 52 in the gray hymnal, please greet a person near you and thank them for being here today. For as Meister Eckhart said, the only prayer you said in your whole life was thank you. That would be sufficient. Blessings to you all.
Yes, it is. That would be that. Check. That's the problem. You get people going. Yeah. I think we've had it. All right.
I know we are all grateful here for each other, but we do have to have the third hymn. Come on now. Third hymn. Our benediction today are the words of Dietrich Bonhoeffer, the German minister and theologian who was martyred by the Nazis. In normal life, we hardly realize how much more we receive than we give, and life cannot be rich without such gratitude. It is easy to overestimate the importance of our own achievements compared with what we owe to the help of others. Let us be thankful for all that we have received in our lives. Amen. Please be seated for the postlude.